Okay, so today we're diving into a topic that I think a lot of people are curious about. And honestly, it's a topic that causes a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
We're talking about diet supplements for weight loss. We've got a stack of material here.
A lot to go through.
A lot to go through.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to try to cut through some of the noise and get to what really matters here.
Yeah. And I think the best way to do that is to focus on a specific source today.
Okay.
So our primary source today is going to be an ebook. It's Will Brink Diet Supplements Revealed.
Okay.
Now, Will Brink is really an interesting character. He's a Harvard-educated natural scientist.
Oh, wow.
So he definitely comes at it from the science.
Yeah.
He's also a consultant to supplement companies.
Okay, so he knows the industry.
He knows how these products are made, and he's actually written for a ton of different health and fitness publications.
That's cool.
But what I think is really cool about Will Brink is he has this unique approach where he combines his understanding of the research with thousands of emails and firsthand accounts from people actually using these weight loss products in the real world.
So he's not just a lab rat.
No, he's really in the trenches.
He's out there. He's talking to real people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So his mission with this ebook is to answer the fundamental question that I think everyone considering a weight loss supplement wants to know.
Yeah.
Which is, does this stuff really work for the average person?
Right. Not just in theory, not just in the lab.
Exactly.
But
Right.
like if I were to take this.
In the real world.
Yeah.
With all the other things going on in my life.
Am I going to see a result?
Yeah. Is this marketing hype?
Oh,
Or is this something that could potentially benefit me?
got it. So our goal today is to distill some of the key information from Brink's ebook.
Absolutely.
And we're going to focus on some specific supplements. We're going to look at his analysis of how effective these supplements are,
Right.
based both on the research and that real-world feedback.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we want to help you understand which supplements might be worth considering.
Right.
Which ones are probably just marketing hype.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. Let's start with carnitine and its close relative, acetyl L-carnitine, or ALC.
Okay.
What are these supposed to do when it comes to weight loss?
So carnitine's main claim to fame in the weight loss world is that it plays a role in transporting fatty acids into the mitochondria of your cells,
Oh, we
which are like the energy-producing units of the cells.
Got it.
So the idea is if you take more carnitine, you might boost this process of fat burning.
Okay.
And then acetyl L-carnitine is a related compound that's often marketed for similar potential benefits for weight loss.
So theoretically, it sounds like it makes sense, but what does the research actually say about carnitine?
Yeah, so Brink dove into the research on carnitine and weight loss in humans.
Yeah.
And he found that it's pretty disappointing.
Oh, really?
Studies that have specifically investigated this have generally shown little to no significant effect. So while it is true that carnitine is essential for this process of fat metabolism,
Yeah.
simply taking more of it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to lead to substantial weight loss in most people.
Okay.
Now, that being said, he did point out that there are some studies that show a potential benefit, but they use huge doses,
Oh, okay.
like grams and grams.
Okay.
And most supplements don't have that.
Right.
Most supplements, they might have a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's, not nearly enough to make a difference.
Okay, so the research isn't really panning out. What about like the real world? What are people actually saying who take these supplements?
Yeah, so the real world feedback
Yeah.
on both carnitine and ALC for weight loss
Yeah.
pretty much mirrors the research.
Okay.
It's largely negative. People just not reporting significant weight loss as a result of using these supplements.
Okay, so bottom line, what's Brink's recommendation on carnitine and ALC for weight loss?
He gives carnitine a poor rating. And he says it's mainly because of that lack of strong research and also the fact that you would need to take a lot
Yeah.
to see any potential benefit.
Yeah.
He mentions that you would need at least 500 milligrams several times per day.
Okay.
And some studies have even used doses of like 5,000 to 6,000 milligrams per day.
Yeah.
And he points out that a lot of weight loss formulas will include just tiny amounts,
Yeah.
like 20 to 100 milligrams.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he considers that to just be label decorations.
Right. Just to be able to put it on the label.
Exactly. It's not really going to do anything.
Right.
Now, he does say that carnitine does have some valid clinical applications
Well, okay.
for people who have serious metabolic disorders.
Right.
But as for ALC, he says it's even pricier than carnitine
Okay.
and has even less research backing it up for weight loss.
Okay.
So kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But, just because a compound plays a role in a metabolic process doesn't mean that taking more of it is going to, magically boost that process.
All right.
At the point where you see, noticeable weight loss.
Got it.
And, in this case, your body probably already has enough carnitine to do what it needs to do.
Okay. Let's move on to another one that I hear a lot about, chromium.
Sure.
What's the deal with chromium in weight loss?
So chromium is an essential mineral,
Okay.
and it's been suggested that it can help to improve insulin function.
Got it.
So the thinking is that by improving how well your body uses insulin,
Yeah.
it could potentially lead to things like reduced weight gain
Okay.
or fewer food cravings. It's also been proposed to help lower cholesterol levels.
Interesting. What does the research say about chromium for weight loss specifically?
So Brink points out that early research on chromium did show some pretty promising results,
Oh, really?
suggesting that it could help aid in fat loss and even increase lean body mass.
Wow.
However, those early studies were kind of criticized because they had some flaws in their design.
Yeah.
And since about 1997, numerous well-conducted studies, looking at all kinds of different populations, have largely shown no significant effect of chromium supplementation on muscle mass or body fat.
Okay.
So basically that initial excitement seems to have kind of waned
Yeah.
with the more rigorous research.
So initial hype and then the studies came in and didn't really support it.
Exactly.
What about anecdotally? What's Brink heard from people who are using these supplements?
Yeah, so Brink says that in all his experience, through consultations, seminars, radio shows,
Right.
he's never met anyone who's raved about chromium for fat loss.
Oh, okay.
So he's not seeing it in practice.
Yeah.
And the research isn't really backing it up either.
Okay.
So that leads to the question of, well, what good is it?
Yeah.
And he makes an important distinction.
Okay.
He says that chromium is an essential nutrient,
Okay.
but a lot of people might be deficient
Okay.
because of the processing of modern foods.
Yeah.
And so he explains that if you are deficient in chromium, it can impair proper blood sugar metabolism.
Okay.
So in those cases, supplementing with chromium in the range of 300 to 600 micrograms daily
Okay.
might actually be beneficial.
Got it.
But for people who aren't deficient, it's not going to be this miracle fat loss supplement.
Right. So if you're deficient,
Right.
it might help with your overall health, and that can lead to,
Absolutely.
better blood sugar regulation, things like that.
Exactly.
But it's not going to specifically target fat loss.
No, not if you're already getting enough chromium in your diet.
Okay, got it.
He also mentions that chromium, along with some other nutrients, might have a role to play in managing Syndrome X,
Okay.
which is something that, a lot of people have and is linked to insulin resistance.
Okay.
So it's not totally useless.
Got it.
It just may not be the miracle fat loss supplement that people are hoping for.
Right. Okay. So next up, conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA.
Okay.
What's the story with CLA and weight loss?
So CLA is a type of fatty acid that's marketed for its potential to reduce body fat
Okay.
and increase lean body mass.
Okay. So again, in theory, it sounds good.
Yeah.
What's the research show?
The research is unfortunately pretty conflicting.
Oh.
So Brink mentions one study that showed increased strength
Okay.
and arm size in novice bodybuilders
Okay.
without any fat gain when they supplemented with CLA.
Okay. So that's positive.
Yeah.
But
Other studies using doses of 3 to 4 grams per day have shown waist reduction and fat loss in overweight individuals,
okay.
while other studies have found no significant effects on weight, body fat, or muscle mass, even in weightlifters.
Okay.
So it's all over the place.
So it seems like maybe some people respond, some people don't. Maybe the dose matters.
Exactly. It's hard to say for sure based on the research what's really going on.
What about the real-world feedback on CLA? Are people noticing changes in their body composition?
Yeah, so again, it's mixed,
Okay.
just like the research.
Okay.
Some people report positive results.
Yeah.
Some people don't.
Okay. So, with all that in mind, what's his final recommendation for people considering CLA for weight loss?
He says it's hard to give a definitive recommendation.
Yeah.
Just given those conflicting findings.
Okay.
He does point out that the lower amounts of CLA that are often found in weight loss supplements
Yeah.
are likely ineffective.
Okay.
So, if you're going to try it, you probably need a higher dose. He suggests that higher doses in the range of 3 to 4 grams,
Okay.
possibly even 4 to 6 grams,
Wow.
might have some potential, but more research is definitely needed.
Yeah.
And another thing to consider is that CLA supplements can be kind of expensive.
Right, right.
So, weigh the cost benefit there.
Okay,
You might not be getting that much benefit for the cost.
okay. Got it. Let's move on to Chitosan. What is this stuff and what's it supposed to do for weight loss?
So chitosan is a type of fiber,
Okay.
and it's derived from the outer shells of shellfish.
Okay.
So it was initially developed for, water treatment because it has this ability to bind to things like heavy metals and oils.
Okay.
But in the context of weight loss, it's supposed to work by blocking the absorption of dietary fats.
Okay, so it's like binding to the fat before you can absorb it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a fat binder.
A fat sponge in your gut.
Yeah.
So what does the research say about Chitosan for weight loss?
So research on chitosan has primarily focused on its effects on cholesterol and triglyceride levels.
Okay.
And animal and human studies do suggest that it can be effective in reducing both of those.
Okay.
And some studies have even shown, a rise in HDL, which is the good cholesterol,
Yeah.
and a reduction in LDL, the bad cholesterol.
So that's a positive for, heart health and things like that.
Absolutely.
But what about actual weight loss?
Yeah, so as far as the fat absorption blocking aspect of chitosan,
Yeah.
the research and the real-world feedback are a bit limited
Okay.
and mixed.
Right.
So it's hard to say for sure based on, what we know right now, how effective it really is for weight loss.
Okay. So even if it's binding to fat in the gut, it might not be translating to significant weight loss on the scale.
Exactly.
What are Brink's overall recommendations or concerns about using Chitosan for this purpose?
So he has several concerns.
Okay.
And he really emphasizes this, that a lot of essential nutrients,
Yeah.
including fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, F, and K, are found in fats.
Right.
So if you're blocking the absorption of fats, you could potentially become deficient in these crucial nutrients.
Right.
He also mentions that it might reduce the absorption of minerals.
Okay.
And some animal studies have even shown a decrease in mineral absorption and bone density with chitosan use.
Okay, so some potential downsides
Yeah.
to using Chitosan for this purpose.
Right.
What does he recommend if someone's going to go ahead and use it anyway?
So he says if you are going to use it, he would advise taking fat-soluble vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids at least 3 to 4 hours away from the chitosan,
Okay.
just to minimize that risk of deficiency.
Okay.
He also mentions that taking vitamin C with chitosan
Okay.
might actually enhance its fat binding effects.
Hmm.
So if you're going to do it, that's his advice.
Okay, got it. Let's talk about CoQ10.
Okay.
Coenzyme Q10. You hear a lot about that for energy production.
Yeah.
Is it also a weight loss aid?
So Brink's perspective on that
Yeah.
is that research looking at CoQ10 specifically for weight loss is really lacking.
Okay.
And any positive effects are not well supported by evidence.
Okay.
So while CoQ10 is certainly involved in energy production
Yeah.
at the cellular level,
Yeah.
he believes that recommendations for using it for weight loss
Yeah.
are largely speculative at this point.
Got it. Okay, let's talk about DHEA and its relative 7-keto DHEA. DHEA, you hear that a lot.
Right.
What's it supposed to do, especially for weight loss and muscle building?
So DHEA, which stands for dehydroepiandrosterone,
Oh, wow.
it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
It's a hormone that's produced by the adrenal glands,
Okay.
and it's marketed for all kinds of different things,
Mm.
improving memory, heart health, immune
Oh.
enhancement,
Yeah.
and of course, weight loss and muscle building.
Right.
Some people promote it as a precursor to other steroid hormones,
Okay.
hence the muscle building claim.
Got it. So what does the research show about DHEA's effectiveness for weight loss or muscle gain in humans?
So Bryn points out that a lot of the biochemical changes that are seen in rodents
Yeah.
with DHEA supplementation don't necessarily translate to humans.
Right.
So you got to be careful about, extrapolating from animal studies to humans.
Got it.
He says, while research does suggest it might have some benefits for cognitive function and immunity,
Okay.
the evidence for weight loss and muscle gain,
Yeah.
especially in younger, healthy people, is less compelling.
Okay.
Now, there was one early study that used a very high dose of
Oh.
DHEA,
Okay.
and it did show some fat loss and muscle gain in men,
Okay.
but later studies haven't consistently replicated those findings.
Okay.
But there is some research showing that lower doses,
Okay.
like 25 to 100 milligrams daily,
Okay.
in older people with low DHEA levels
Okay.
can have some positive effects on things like bone density, lean mass, and body fat.
Okay.
So there might be some benefits for specific populations.
Yeah.
But he concludes by saying DHEA is likely worthless for muscle building
Yeah.
in young athletes.
Okay.
So, again, it comes back to who you are, what your goals are, what your current levels are.
Right.
It might have some use, but it's not a miracle supplement.
Got it. What about potential downsides?
Yeah, so he notes that high doses of DHEA can lead to some not so pleasant side effects.
Okay.
Like oily skin and hair loss.
Okay.
And that for general health benefits.
Yeah.
In older individuals with low levels.
Yeah.
Very small amounts are usually sufficient.
All right.
And he emphasizes the importance of getting blood tests to figure out what your DHEA levels are.
Right.
Before you even consider supplementation.
Oh.
Don't just blindly start taking something without knowing where you're at.
Right. Okay. So DHEA maybe not a miracle weight loss cure or a muscle building supplement?
No, but it might have some niche uses.
Okay. Got it. What about this 7-keto DHEA?
So 7-keto DHEA is a metabolite of DHEA.
Okay.
And it's being researched as well.
Okay.
Animal studies have suggested it might have thermogenic properties.
Okay.
So it could potentially help you burn more calories.
Right.
And it could also improve cognitive function.
Okay.
And there was one human study
Okay.
that Brink highlights that specifically looked at weight loss in overweight women.
Okay.
And they found that 200 milligrams of 7-keto DHEA per day for 8 weeks
Okay.
led to a small but statistically significant reduction in body weight and body fat compared to a placebo.
Okay. So there's at least one human study showing some promise.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this study is that they also saw an increase in T3, which is an active thyroid hormone.
Okay.
And they didn't see any significant side effects.
Okay.
So it seems like it could be, relatively safe and potentially effective for weight loss.
Okay. But still, more research is needed.
Absolutely. One study is not enough to draw any firm conclusions.
Right.
And 7-keto DHEA hasn't been around for that long, so there isn't a lot of long-term real-world feedback yet.
Okay. So it's one to watch as we get more information.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to digestive enzymes. You hear a lot about those for gut health and things like that. Can they help you lose weight?
So Brink's perspective is that while digestive enzymes might have a lot of potential health uses,
Yeah.
and they could be good for specific digestive issues,
Right.
and they could even potentially help to reduce inflammation.
Okay.
There's really limited evidence to support using them directly as a weight loss tool.
Mm.
So he kind of suggests that, they might be mildly helpful for digestion,
Yeah.
which could indirectly, support your overall health.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be considered a primary weight loss strategy.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Let's talk about something a little more controversial. The ephedrine caffeine combination.
Oh, yeah.
Or EC stack.
The EC stack.
This was, popular for a while.
Right.
And then kind of, got demonized.
Yeah, got a bad rap.
Got a bad rap. What does Brink's analysis say about its effectiveness for weight loss?
He says, flat out,
Yeah.
that numerous animal and human studies have shown that this combination,
Yeah.
in the right ratios and amounts,
Okay.
is very effective for weight loss.
Okay.
He even points to research that's been published in the Journal of the American Medical Association,
Wow.
Annals of Internal Medicine, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition.
Wow. These are like the top tier journals.
Top tier.
Yeah.
And this research has been done over many years. So he's pretty confident in this conclusion.
Yeah.
The optimal ratio, according to the research, seems to be around 10-to-1 caffeine to ephedrine.
Okay.
So that would be something like 200 milligrams of caffeine
Right.
with 20 milligrams of ephedrine,
Okay.
taken 3 times per day.
Okay.
And what's interesting is, this really contrasts with how ephedrine is often portrayed in the media.
Right.
A lot of fear-mongering around this.
Yeah.
But the research seems to be pretty clear that it is effective.
Yeah. And there's always going to be risks with anything.
Of course.
But it seems like, at least according to this research, the benefits might outweigh the risks.
Right.
If you're, a healthy individual.
Exactly.
What are some of the specific benefits that the research has highlighted?
So it seems to protect lean tissue during calorie restriction,
Okay.
which is great for, people who are trying to lose fat and maintain muscle.
Yeah.
And it also seems to work even in people who aren't exercising.
Oh, wow.
There was one study that showed sedentary people losing a significant amount of fat over 6 weeks,
Wow.
just using an ECA stack,
Okay.
which is ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin.
Okay, and what about the real-world experiences?
Yeah, so Brink says that this is one of the few areas where the research and the real-world experience strongly agree.
Okay.
EC products work
Okay.
for weight loss
Okay.
for the majority of people who use them correctly.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there are caveats.
Right.
He spends quite a bit of time addressing the safety concerns
Okay.
because, like we said, there's a lot of fear-mongering around ephedrine.
Right.
And he says that while the media often portray ephedrine-based fat burners as inherently dangerous,
Yeah.
many of the studies that have used the EC stack in healthy individuals
Yeah.
at recommended doses
Okay.
have shown minimal and transient side effects.
Okay.
So things like, insomnia or tremors. And he even cites a Harvard Medical School study that found no significant changes in heart rate, blood pressure,
Okay.
blood glucose, insulin, cholesterol levels,
Oh, okay.
and no significant difference in the frequency of side effects compared to a placebo.
Wow.
There was another large long-term study that concluded that, the side effects were minor and transient,
Okay.
and that there were no withdrawal symptoms.
Okay.
So, when used correctly,
Yeah.
it seems like it can be relatively safe.
Okay.
But he does have some warnings.
Okay.
He says pregnant women should definitely avoid these products.
Okay.
People with high blood pressure,
Yeah.
prostate disease,
Oh.
or anyone taking MAO inhibitors.
Okay.
And he really emphasizes the importance of sticking to those recommended doses
Right.
and starting with a lower dose to assess your tolerance.
Right. Right. Start low and slow.
Exactly.
Okay. What about, he mentions aspirin,
Right.
the ECA stack.
The ECA stack,
Yeah.
is that better? Or?
What?
Yeah, so he says that adding aspirin to the mix hasn't actually been shown to be superior
Okay.
to just EC.
Okay.
And aspirin comes with its own set of risks,
Right.
so he doesn't recommend adding it. If you're going to do it, stick with the ephedrine and the caffeine.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to essential fatty acids, or EFAs,
Go ahead.
and particularly omega-3s.
Right.
How do those play a role in weight loss?
So Brink points out that omega-3 fatty acids,
Yeah.
which are found in things like flax and fish oil,
Yeah.
have numerous potential benefits for weight loss.
Okay.
They're what's called anti-lipogenic, meaning they help block fat storage.
Okay.
They increase beta oxidation, which is the process of burning fat for energy.
Okay.
They can improve insulin sensitivity,
Okay.
increase thermogenesis, which is the production of heat in the body.
Okay.
And he even mentions that recent research has found that omega-3 lipids
Okay.
can actually control gene transcription
Wow.
related to energy balance and fat storage.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
So what does the research say about flax or fish oil supplementation for weight loss in humans?
So studies have shown that flax oil can raise levels of EPA,
Okay.
which is one of the important omega-3 fatty acids in
Yep.
the body.
Okay.
And one study that gave people 6 grams of fish oil per day
Wow.
found significant weight loss.
Okay.
So there's definitely some research to support those claims.
What about anecdotally? What are people saying about flax and fish oil?
Yeah, so Brink says both flax and fish oil supplements generally get high marks
Okay.
for fat loss in the real world.
Okay.
He says that he was actually one of the first people to popularize the use of flax oil among bodybuilders for fat loss.
Wow.
So he's a big fan of these supplements
Yeah.
for both their health benefits
Yeah.
and their potential for weight loss.
Okay. So it sounds like EFAs are definitely something to consider.
Right.
What are Brink's specific recommendations for flax oil?
So he generally recommends 1 to 3 tablespoons per day. And he says you can mix it into your protein drinks, use it on salads.
Okay.
You can take it straight.
Okay.
He does note that capsules are less efficient.